would welcome any feedback that y'all may have as we get up to our election day in November. Have a Facebook page, it's Hartford Judge, and again, just as my brother stated, we're both here to observe and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move on to executive officers reports. I just am assigning chapter 1147, the sign regulations, to Mr. Bueller's economic and community development. There's been some interest in possibly revamping that, so I'll assign that to Mr. Bueller, and then at some point I can see that we'll have an ordinance to discuss, so after the Henderson. And that is all we have this evening. The mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Hope everyone had a safe and enjoyable holiday weekend. I just want to thank the organization that puts out the American flags on Perry Street for Memorial Day, Labor Day, and 4th of July. It's a tremendous addition. They've been doing it for, I don't know how long, but a long, long time. And I'm glad to see that that tradition is continuing. I had an opportunity earlier today to speak to the Rotary Club here in town. That was enjoyable. We talked about the different projects going on in town, and when I left, they asked what they could do as an organization to help the city. So I've been working on a list to submit to their club president, Pat Atkins. If anyone else has any suggestions to add to that, please shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to forward that on. Jefferson Street project is winding down. They put in all of the street signs and to fix the stop signs to where they need to go. There's just a few more things that need to take place on North Jefferson Street. The substantial completion date for that is this coming Friday, September 11th. After that, there'll be a punch list review, and then total completion is the end of the calendar year. I think it looks wonderful, and with all the rain we had over the holiday, it appeared to drain quite nicely. I drove through there a couple of times just to see how the water was flowing, and there was no large standing puddles. As you all know, a couple months ago you took action to enact a revolving loan fund. That committee has been created, the Revolving Loan Fund Board of Directors. They've met several times over the past month and a half, 2 months, and are very, very close. I think they copied you on all of their documentation. They're very, very close to sending out press releases announcing that. Their target was to have that all completed by the end of this calendar year. They're much farther along than they had even anticipated. They're all very excited to get this going. It all started with an initial donation of $25,000 that was funneled through the Ottawa County Community Foundation. Just the other day, a second $10,000 donation was received from Arby's in conjunction with their 30th anniversary in the community. Mark Giacco, Dave Giacco, and their families from the Huron area, very much involved in this community, contributed an additional $10,000, and I've had, there's been no advertising about this, but I've had other individuals contact me as well and ask how they can contribute. So I think it's going to be a worthwhile thing for our downtown business community. So thank you again for taking that action. The Greater Port Clinton Area Arts Council is ready to install a second recycling fish. The first one down on North Madison Street has been a huge success. Mr. Colston will be meeting with those folks to determine the location and get that installed here in the next couple of weeks. So they have a third one that's being constructed as well. The infrastructure project, we met with Kogemeyer Design Group on a discussion meeting last Thursday, I think? Yeah, last Thursday. They're targeting the second meeting in October with an outside chance of the first meeting in October to make their formal presentation to City Council on their findings and put more specific dollar amounts to the general concepts that have been talked about. So again, look forward to that. The concession stand, they got a late start this year, but I think they met their expectations. We reached out to them to see if they would like to continue. They have an option to continue for next year. They're going to continue operations on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, weather permitting, through this month, and then we'll get down to see if they're interested in continuing for 2021 and take the appropriate actions as it sits. Downtown, there are 3 trees that have been identified as deceased in the large planters. The tree commission met earlier today and asked Auto and Urban to identify replacements for those 3 trees. One of them looks very much like the Charlie Brown Christmas. So if you're downtown, see if you can find the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. October 17th, Saturday, October 17th has been set aside for the fall community cleanup. It'll run again like it did in the springtime at the City Hall parking lot. COVID protocols will be in place just like they've been in the springtime, where there'll be individuals from the city there to move the big trucks, but you'll have to get your stuff out of the car and into the big trucks so they can be put into the dumpster. With that, Madam President, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Snyder.
Madam President,
Oh, yes.
just a few questions. What was the date again for the citywide cleanup?
10/17,
10/17.
and that's going to be from 8 until 1?
We went to 3, didn't we? 8 to 3.
8 to 3.
Thank you. I think that as a user, I think that that's an excellent spot for that, away from treating Waterworks Park like perpetual dump that it once was. So thanks for moving it down there. I think it's great. I think it's a good turnout.
It eliminates all of the nighttime dumpers.
That too.
Yeah. That's a big issue.
Got it. With the Jefferson Street project wrapping up, when should council expect that the high ground will be cleaned up and the rest of the parking lot will be cleaned up from all the stuff?
I'm going to defer that question over here.
They still have work to do on the pump station. There was COVID related as far as getting the fencing and stuff in. My understanding is the fence should be here next week. So I'd say by the end of the month is what I anticipate for all that being cleaned up. I'll give you a better answer when we have I think we have a meeting next week again, a conference call. But yeah, they should, and I'm going to demand that they get those big signs that say road closed and all that. That needs to go. There's a couple spots they dug on the intersection, if you saw today, 3rd and Jeff and 2nd and Jeff. They had to do some work in there, and that should be good by tomorrow. And there's some more concrete to pour, but then it should be clean for the weekend. But yes, by the end of the month, that should all be cleaned up and all out of it.
Okay, thank you. And pertaining to the Pogmeyer presentation, at the first or the second meeting in October, would council be able to receive a preview so we might be able to ask questions about what he's in the room?
Yeah.
I will ask.
Can I ask this, Dave? Would we rather, if it's sooner, would you rather go to a finance meeting, basically with that first? Presentate there, then come to council also?
I would do it all together.
Okay, just one, that's fine. I just wondered if you wanted to go that.
page and start. I
Okay,
think that's fine. Unless anybody has any questions.
that's fine. I just wanted to see which way you want to go.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Anyone else have questions for the mayor?
Just one. I was going to ask later on today. Remember when we were on the weekend and we were doing our little quick job and counting the cars because it's cheaper if we do it?
Yeah.
Did anything come out of that? Or?
Yes, we did 4 areas here at City Park. Jet Express between Docks and Eds on Lakeshore Drive, and Portage and Fremont Road. Portage and Fremont Road did not make the traffic count. There were some old counts from a couple years ago when they did safe routes to school. The numbers were very similar and just didn't meet the specs. Since then, they've asked for additional information, some video of people moving in those areas. Still working on that, but it looks really good. The traffic counts and the pedestrian counts were right on target.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
The auditor sent out his month-end reports for August to everyone, and that has been included in correspondence. Treasurer's report, bed tax, $85,709.28, and dock tax is currently $27,250. Law director?
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to follow up on the Republic trash contract. We just have a handful of people left who still need to switch from Lake over to Republic. There have been quite a few people who have called out of that handful, and they indicated that their quarter ends at the end of September, and they asked if they could have that extra time. We did give that time to them. So I have a feeling by the end of September, we may only have maybe 1 or 2 people who will be taking probably to court, filing charges on that. So it's definitely working out well. And all of the other projects we're working on, people are responding well, and people are making the necessary improvements or changes or paying, their dock tax and bed tax in a more timely fashion. So we are definitely moving forward with all those projects. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam President.
I have a question, Madam President. Mrs. Schenker, we have people who have the blue tubs and leave them out on the yards forever out by the curb. Is there anything that we already have that we can ask them to get them out of the roadways or whatever? Anything in our laws?
It's in the ordinance. The rule is that they have to put it out the night before after 5 p.m. and then 24 hours within, the time of when it gets picked up, they have to bring it back in. I spoke with Mr. Trolley about that. I'm going to speak with Mr. Colson about maybe putting something on the city's website, just a reminder, and Sandy, about that.
Ms. Colson doesn't know how to use it.
Oh, that's true, no mind. That's true. So we'll maybe do like a little reminder, maybe put it on the water bill, just something, say, hey, just a friendly reminder, please bring your trash cans in within 24 hours and pick up. And hopefully, people have been pretty responsive, so hopefully they'll listen and we'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you both, all of you for working on that. It's been a thing we've tried to get going for a while. Supervising reports, Mr. Colson.
Just real quick, we did loan to the schools 10 picnic tables up at the high school. They can go outside, and they're trying to take some outdoor classes so they don't have to wear their mask outside. So we took them, some from here, I left them up front. Took a couple from Mom uptown. There was a couple stragglers here and there in the city that we took up there for those guys. We did put banners downtown with senior athletes. Those are on all of the light poles downtown. We talked about the Jefferson project. I think we're in pretty good shape there. And I did send you guys all an email today. Obviously, we lost one of our team today. And that's a sad situation. She was very private about it, didn't want anything out there. And our thoughts and prayers go with them. They are going to have a private ceremony, it sounds like. We obviously will send something from the city for that. But I just wanted to make sure I said that in the public setting that she was going to be missed and she was a real nice person. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on, making sure that she's not here, I'm overlooking today. We'll move on to committee reports. Finance, Mr. Beal.
Thank you, Madam President. The auditor informed the Finance Committee that the city will be receiving a supplemental CARES Act distribution of $144,407 on top of the unappropriated balance from the previous distribution of $74,814 for a grand total to be appropriated equal to $288,814. 214,000 were appropriated when council passed ordinance 1920. That was $143,000 for personnel and $71,000 towards supplies. And those new funds, all funds, must be encumbered by October 15th, or we risk returning those unencumbered funds to the county for possible redistribution. So we'll be working with the auditor and everybody else to figure out how best to use those funds so that they're not wasted. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Environment and Public Works, Ms. Hickman.
Elfenstein and Grossman.
Thank you. Safety Services, Ms. Phillips.
Nothing this evening, thank you, Madam President.
Arts and Culture, Ms. Lehman.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. Economic and Community Development, Mr. Duval.
Thank you, Madam President. Council, before you, I believe everybody has a copy of what I'll just call a press release, program information, and frequently asked questions. Mrs. Ostheimer was kind enough to provide, given that I gave it to her late this afternoon. pertaining to the community flag design competition that we discussed last time. You were told that we had any strong objection, there's general support for such a thing. I can run down what I think the best path forward would be, which would be to accept design submissions for over 45 days, starting tomorrow through Monday, October 26th. That can be sketches, written descriptions, electronic or hard copy, all submitted to the clerk of council via email or by phone, or arrange a handoff for hard copies if folks can't do it another way. We have a community survey likely online for the design for 7 days to select the design finalists. That would open, I would propose October 27th, Monday, November 2nd. We announce the finalists at the Economic and Community Development Committee meeting November 4th, the day after the general election, the capital city. And then we have a final design, there'd be one additional round of survey from the finalists, and we announce the winner here. I'm not sure where it will physically be on November 10th, but there's a council meeting scheduled then. And we would announce the winner of that. The design will be manufactured and unveiled hopefully by early 2021, and we'll be off tours. The second page is some frequently asked questions that people might have, and that is it.
Any questions from you?
Mr. Dew, who would judge those signs? Is that in there?
Yeah, it'd be the community survey portion. So we put up online and other means any of the submissions, and everybody can vote. Most votes for each round, the down selection.
Any additional questions?
So if there's no objection, I ask the clerk to post this, and maybe Mr. Paulson to post this, whatever means you see appropriate.
Website, Facebook, I can do Twitter as well, which would lead us.
do Twitter.
I do Twitter. I don't like Twitter. What it does is lead us right to our website anyway. It's just a link to our website page.
And then maybe some local media as well. So
Of course, it'll go to the Beacon and the News Herald. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Buell, for taking that on. And now we'll move on to correspondence. Council, you previously received the monthly reports for August 2020 from Mr. Hatfield. Does council wish to take any action as to the correspondence as stated?
Madam President, I move to accept those reports, the monthly reports.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Whitman. Any discussion? None. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. So we will move on to third readings of ordinance and resolution. Will the clerk please read ordinance 22-20 by title and summary only, please?
Ordinance 22-20, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to enter into the contracts for the reconstruction of Lakeview Park Beach and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 22-20 this evening?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Dillon?
I move to retain the emergency clause in ordinance 22-20.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Troy. Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll as to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 22-20?
Sure. Okay. Mr. Velo,
Yes.
Pat Hovis, Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Brian Hill,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Sorry, we have a big old spider over here.
I apologize.
She's freaking out.
I'm not freaking out, I just don't want it crawling on me. Try to save its life, now I regret it.
Trying to help her out.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 22-20?
Madam President,
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2220.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickman. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Gillum?
the subject of this ordinance was presented by Mr. Basak from the Sewer Department at the August 10th Finance Committee meeting. And it was presented to us as a $60,000 solution as opposed to above $100,000 solution. The committee didn't take any action, but there are no objections by any means. But the committee members are in attendance.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
I would like to ask, what is the timeline on that ordinance?
It's the time to get it done.
Work, yeah.
It is probably a 2-month out project for Edison. So as soon as this passes today, I will call them to get on the books to be able to move the three-phase up here to Parish.
Great, thank you. That's all.
Anything further? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll as to adopting ordinance 22-20?
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Margaret Phillip,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Brian Hill,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis, Gabe Belo.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 22-20 is hereby adopted by a vote of 7-0. Would the clerk please read resolution 20-7 by title and summary only?
Resolution 20-7, a resolution.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action on resolution 20-7?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr.
I'd like
Fuller.
to make a motion to adopt resolution 20-7.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I'll second this. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll as to adopting resolution 20-7?
Brian Hill,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 20-7 is here adopted by a vote of 7-0. Second readings of ordinances and resolution. Would the clerk please read resolution 20-8 by title and summary only?
Resolution 20-8, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying to the county auditor.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to resolution 20-8 this evening?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Beal?
move to adopt ordinance 20-8.
We have a motion by Mr. Second. Thank you.
You have to wait that reading.
Just the way it is.
Oh, wait, yeah, you can wait for you.
Oh, I thought it was a third. My apologies. I withdraw the motion.
Mr. Beal withdraws his motion.
And I intend to do nothing else because I thought it was on the third reading.
Okay.
My understanding is not a time sensitive matter, but an appropriate.
Sorry. No problem. Okay, Mr. Beal withdraws. Mr. Beal withdraws his motion. Seeing no further action by council, this will be moved to its third reading, September 22nd. Would the clerk please read first readings and ordinances of resolution? Would the clerk please read ordinance 23-20 by title and summary only?
Ordinance number 23-20, an ordinance amending section 1323-03, 1323.04 and 123.041 of chapter 1323 of the codified ordinance of the city of Port Clinton.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 23-20 this evening?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Gill?
no action, just a couple comments. So this is about, I can decipher those points in all the chapters up top. This is about reforming the architectural review board for downtown. We discussed this at the last economic community development committee and made this recommendation for pursuing ordinance to amend those sections, to amend one section, excuse me. Picked that up, well, we talked about it August 25th. Ahead of the previous council meeting. And the ordinance would add 2 board members as requested by the mayor of the safety, and they would be the safety service director and the zoning inspector. And the ordinance would designate the zoning inspector as the board chair. And those recommendations, those amendments are included in the ordinance. Additionally, I sought to add a new ARB reporting requirement to council, similar to what we did with the revolving loan fund, except in this case, a semi-annual basis on their activities, and that's included in this ordinance. And I also sought to shorten the term for board members from 4 years to 2 years in order to increase the likelihood of actually finding interesting individuals willing to serve, but not preventing reappointment at the end of the 2 years. So it could be 4 for 100 years, if they're lucky enough. So if somebody would say become disinterested or unproductive, they could be replaced at the end of the 2 years. Hang it up. So glad that is the ordinance as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Buell at this point? Seeing none, this will be moved to its second reading on September 22nd at the council. We'll move to business from the floor. Mrs. Hickman?
I think that the city looked really great this weekend. It was busy, there was lots of people, it was out and about. And I think everything looked really nice, so I wanted to thank the street department for doing such a great job. And all of the safety services that were out there working their tails off as well. And I'm just really sad that I lost Lisa too. And I want everybody to keep Carmen in their thoughts, because I know she is struggling big time. She's having a really hard time. So I've known Lisa most of my life, and it was really sad and it's a loss for the city. That's it, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
Nothing for me, thank you.
You, Mr. Trolley?
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Ms. Phillips?
Thank you, Madam President. My questions were answered earlier in conjunction with the mayor's.
Thank you. Mr. Buell?
Thank you, Madam President. At the top of the meeting, you referenced some potential amendments to Chapter 1146 of the Codified Ordinances, which just relates to regulation of display of signs, in particular political signs. So I can tell them a story about how they came to be and where my thoughts are. And we can pick this up in the Economic Community Development Committee, probably here in council in the future, as I understand there'll be an ordinance for the next council meeting. So political yard signs, I think we all know the current rules aren't always followed. And I think generally it's not a good deal. It's always good to have ordinances on the books that see high compliance and enforcement when you need it, and all the better. But I guess Saturday, September 19th or so is the date that signs can, according to our ordinances, be displayed. And you and me have probably seen signs for weeks. Like I said before, I'm okay with it. So in my opinion, I don't think we need more enforcement of the ordinances and regulations in the ordinances. So I would suggest paring back some of those regulations about political signs, just so it's clear for all city stakeholders, residents, businesses, anybody who decides to put up a temporary sign, in this case a political sign, which is a special case. And I think the claims would go up because we're making it less restrictive and include more people, including ones that have signs up today. So I circulated a draft ordinance providing for a couple of these fixes. I understand the law director's reviewing those and reviewing the matter, and we can hopefully see the ordinance in the future. So in my opinion, it's not in the city's best interest, like I said at the top, to have ordinances on the books where it's understood, well, it's generally not enforced, or people just don't really follow those. And especially when it involves political speech, and if we're always waiving existing rules, maybe there's a better approach. So what I initially suggested was to get rid of the 45-day limit and the one candidate sign per yard or per street-facing part of your property. If you're on a corner, you're going to get two. And that's another place where you see people putting up multiple. We all know there's multiple designs from the same candidate. For presidential election, but for others, people display yard signs, and it's kind of the nature of the beast. So, and there's also a fine on the books, which I don't know if it's ever actually been enforced, but it's up to $100 for a violation of any of these sign regulations, not just the political signs, but everything else in the entire chapter. So, I think as we think about how we might reform those, I think there's a better way, as opposed to just kind of that it's understood that there'll be a grace period, and sometimes it may be enforced, and sometimes it might not be. Complaints can arise there, and residents potentially tattling on others because they have a political disagreement with a candidate that they're supporting. Well, there's two signs, but then they're supposed to have one sign. So I just imagine it could lower the temperature, and I don't think in the end it proliferate into this army of mushrooms popping up out of everyone's yards in the form of political signs. So that was my point. And happy to answer any questions, but like I said, we could pick this up in the committee meeting in council. Thank you, Madam President.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Williams?
No, I just think it might be a good idea. My problem with the signs is they don't pick them up afterward. Some do, some don't. I wish that would be more interesting, maybe make sure they pick them up afterward in a reasonable amount of time, preferably before the next election.
Madam President, I just want to clarify, since I'm working on this ordinance right now. Mr. Bealow, are you proposing, by getting rid of the 45-day limit, to make it unlimited, like you can have signs year-round, or are you just suggesting to expand 45 days to like 60 days or 90 days, or are you proposing unlimited time?
As I research it more, I'm questioning how smart it is to have any. Not in terms of city administration and potential trash or signs blowing down the street, for example, after a heavy storm or heavy rain, but is that type of restriction a wise move for any municipality in Ohio? So that's my question. So that's why my initial proposal is gone in that draft ordinance I shared with you.
And so that would just unlimited then, is that, so year-round there could be signs, is that? I just want to make sure, because I'm trying to research the issue, and I want to make sure I'm researching the right points. So.
Yeah, so I think the issue is limiting display of political signs.
Right.
In my view, it's a protected form of free speech. And I've seen other communities do it differently, and so maybe there's a better way. So that's why I'm suggesting perhaps we should look at removing them completely. The same thing with a limit of per candidates per yard. Is that perhaps a protected form of political speech that, while we might not like seeing the yard signs, that might also be the latest nature of the beast, the way that the legal landscape may change over the years. These ordinances, the current regulations was passed an ordinance back in 2003. So.
Wouldn't that open up a can of worms as far as garage sale signs, as far as happy birthday to Joe Blow down the street? I mean, you're just telling your neighbor that he can leave a sign up year-round for his garage sale.
Well, unless it's somebody's separate birthday as a political candidate.
No, are you just specifically saying?
The political signs only.
Okay, all right, my bad.
Because that's where I see a gap between what's on paper and what we see driving down or walking or riding down the streets every day, especially this time. So that's why I bring it up. Kind of in our face.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gilman.
Nothing tonight, I don't have that.
Ms. Lopez?
Thank you, Madam President. I was approached today by a citizen in regard to the community curbing goal that was held last month. They really enjoyed it. She said she's never had so much fun. She was watching the car next to her, they were enjoying it, and the car on the other side of her, they were enjoying it. Everybody in the car was enjoying it. She wanted to know if it would be possible, like maybe next year, to have it once a month, something like that. She said she would not even be opposed to paying for it. She thought maybe the money, if they paid for it, would go to some kind of, to benefit something. That was just what she threw out at me, but they enjoyed it. And she said she would like to see it more often. So I said I could voice that.
Ms. Holdridge, who put that event on? Who was that a fundraiser for?
The senior
United Way?
It wasn't a fundraiser at all. It was put on by Stein Hospice
Oh.
as just a way of getting individuals out of their home in a safe environment. Bringing awareness, of course, to Stein Hospice, but all the prizes were donated. They did approach us about having another one in October, at the end of October. We're talking with the school system, again, a Friday night. We don't want to conflict with high school football, playoff games, and all that fun stuff. So there is a possibility that will come back. I will get you the information for the individual from Stein Hospice that organized it. If that individual would like to be involved. Unfortunately, they can't charge because you need a bingo license to charge, even if it goes to a charity. But they're looking at bringing in again, a free event like they had in July or August, whatever that month that was. It was one of they've done it all over this Stein Hospice service area, and this is one of the better attended events they have.
Yeah, she was surprised to see how many times we were there.
Madam President, did anybody here go to the football game Friday night downtown? How did it work out?
Until it got about this time, it was difficult to see, but by the halfway through the second quarter, you could see it on the screen, and then by the end of halftime, it was fantastic. The place was packed. The band was playing, people were cheering about touchdowns, and the band thought it was for them. It'll be up again this week.
Okay. Yeah, they said even the home games, it'll be up.
Yeah, because nobody can get in.
Yeah, because it's very limited on who can get into it.
And since we're on the topic of high school football, I did extend the offer to Mayor Babcock from Oak Harbor, our wager. So hopefully this year he'll be bringing pizzas this way. Come on, Redskins!
Okay.
I don't know, my grandson's getting some mercy waiting to him, so we'll have to see.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam President, I move this August body adjourned.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Beal. All in favor, say
That's a
aye.
gift.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Ready to go home.
We're adjourned. Thank you.